Hi everyone, Tyler Manion here, NPC and IFBB Pro League Vice President. And this video will be about the NPC Worldwide natural shows for 2025, and then also the 2024 IFBB Ben Weider Pro recap. So first about natural events moving into 2025. Next year, the NPC and NPC Worldwide will have even more natural regional events than we had this year. We will also be adding more natural pro qualifiers in the USA, Canada, and around the whole entire world. So be on the lookout for when the 2025 schedule drops. You're going to see many more opportunities and many more shows for natural events. Now, going into that, when it comes to the natural IFBB Pro events, every natural IFBB Pro event that you see in 2025 will be a qualifier to the 2025 Ben Weider. So this will be the first ever year, next year, that the Ben Weider, you have to win a natural IFBB Pro event to qualify for it. That means the best of the best will be competing at the 2025 Ben Weider, and other than men's bodybuilding, every other division, if you win, you will earn your qualification to the Mr. Olympia. So that is going to be the structure for our natural events from NPC all the way up to IFBB Pro. When it comes to pro qualifiers, depending on your country of residence, those are going to be the guidelines that you have to follow to make sure you are qualified to go to a natural pro qualifier. If your country is on the list for NPC Worldwide, that means you need to compete in a natural regional to do a natural pro qualifier. In the United States, you will have to compete at a natural regional in either 2024, which is this year, or 2025 to enter into a natural pro qualifier. Now, moving on to the Ben Weider that took place this past weekend. It was a NPC Worldwide event and also a IFBB Pro event. The quality was unbelievable. At this event, we polygraph tested every single athlete. We had just about 400 athletes between the NPC and IFBB Pro. 7 people failed, so that means 7 people, got disqualified and will receive their suspension. But overall, I was extremely impressed with the quality of athletes on the amateur side and on the pro side. Really, it blew me away. So it was really exciting to see. I think this whole entire movement is going to only grow here in the NPC and IFBB Pro League, and I'm very excited to watch it as it grows and blossoms moving forward. Now getting into the Ben Weider. First, we'll get into the bikini division here. In first place, we had Lana. I thought Lana brought a very, very good package. She's always been competitive every time I've judged her in the past. Her feedback would be she needs a little bit more overall glute development, and she can add just a little bit more size to her legs. Her conditioning was on point. Her posing was on point. Her front pose is very good. In second place, we had Hai from Korea. Basically, she really needs to fill out her upper glutes a little bit more and just grow a little bit more overall. In third place, we had Ukachi. Ukachi can work on bringing her waistline in a little bit, having a little bit better of an hourglass shape in her front pose, making sure she doesn't add any more muscle to her arms, and then also working on adding a little bit more depth to her glutes so they stay fuller, especially while she's walking. The next division we'll go into is wellness. And wellness in first place was Maria. I think she brought a great overall look for wellness. She had very good conditioning. The number one thing she can work on is just adding a little bit more depth to her glutes. The second thing would be adding just a touch more muscle to her legs. And then when it comes to her presentation, I think she just needs to make sure that when she's facing the front or to the side, she's always moving her hair out of the way, because she has a very nice hourglass shape to her physique. Her waist is nice and small and tight. And overall, her presentation was very good. In second, we had Riley. What Riley needs to work on is adding more depth to her glutes. They're definitely a little bit on the flatter side, especially when she's transitioning or when she's walking. She needs to work on controlling her waist a little bit more. Needs a little bit more detail in the waist, but also controlling her waist and her stomach the whole entire time she's on stage. She tends to breathe through her stomach, which obviously affects her look while we're judging. And then the third thing is she was just a touch on the hard side with conditioning. In third place, we had Brooke. I think Brooke brought a great overall package. Really, she's just a little bit on the small side. She needs to add a little bit more to her lower body overall. You can see that her legs are just a little bit smaller than the girls that were first and second place here. Another thing she needs to work on is she needs to hit both of her side poses better. She leans forward too much on both side poses, and also the way she's posing her midsection, she does not keep her stomach flat and tight. The stomach kind of goes out a little bit here. So overall, both side poses could be much better. They don't really flatter her physique the best way possible. But yes, these would be the main things, and obviously with growing a little bit more. Next, we'll move into men's physique. I thought the men's physique lineup was extremely competitive at this show. In first place, we had Titus. Really, I was very, very impressed with his overall look. He had a great overall balance to his physique. The main thing that he can really work on is posing, especially his front pose. He can definitely hit this much better to show off his strengths and his aesthetics and his taper much better. But he had good balance between the shoulders and the arms. The chest was full. His midsection was very conditioned and also had great detail to it. The abs were deep. From the back pose, his back was actually very solid. He had good depth and detail back there. The main thing he can use here is adding more width to his back. So more width to the back and better overall posing, especially from the front. But very, very impressive look from him. In second place, we had Chien. Chien also brought a very impressive look. The number one thing he needs to work on is adding more thickness to his chest. So for his front pose, again, he has good overall balance with the arms and the shoulders, a nice taper into a nice midsection. He just really needs to fill out his chest more to complete this pose. From the back, what he can work on is adding more width and more thickness to his back. Also seemed like, again, he was worried about squeezing through the traps a little bit too much, more than opening up, but he needs more thickness and more width to the back. In third place, we had Darnell. Darnell brought great conditioning to the stage. As you can see from the front pose, he has good full muscle. Basically, the main thing he needs to work on is shrinking in his waistline a little bit more. From the back, he needs to work on adding more width to his back. He has good thickness and detail. He needs to add definitely more width to the back. This will help enhance the front pose as well. And again, I also feel like he's another one that can just work on his overall posing and presentation just a little bit more. Next, we'll move into classic physique. In first place, we had Patrick. I was extremely impressed with Patrick's look. His conditioning was out of this world. The main things that he needs to work on is adding a little bit more sweep to his quads. He needs more detail and definition to his overall midsection. Definitely needs to work on getting the abs in much deeper. This is going to enhance his look, especially in the front poses. And the last thing that Patrick needs to work on is adding more thickness to the back. He has nice width and he had some pretty good detail, but more thickness to the back will really help him as well. So very, very impressive look that he brought to the stage, especially with probably the best conditioning in the show. In second place was Lenny. Lenny's main thing that he needs to work on is adding more width to his back. This is very evident in his front double bicep and his back double bicep. He brought good overall muscle and fullness. His conditioning was solid, but it was still a little bit behind what Patrick brought to the stage. He needs more separation, especially in his quads from the front, but more overall conditioning and separation everywhere will just enhance his look. But the number one thing he needs to work on for sure is adding more width to his physique. In third place, we had Charles. Charles brought a great overall look. His conditioning was great. The number one thing he needs to work on is adding more overall size to the legs, from the front, from the side, and from the back. His legs are just a little bit undersized compared to his upper body. The next thing he can work on is adding more width to his back. This is going to help in both the front double and the back double bicep poses. And then the third thing would be for him, he really needs to work on his presentation. He struggled to pose and really present himself and present his strengths the best way he possibly could. He kind of rounds everything in his front double bicep pose, and he's not displaying the taper that we need to see in classic. But still, overall, he brought a very impressive look to the stage. And then the last class I'll mention is just our winner for the open bodybuilding class, Matt. I think he brought an extremely impressive physique to the stage. The main thing that really he needs to work on is adding a little bit more width and thickness to his back. But I just wanted to give him a shout out as well. He was our winner in the men's bodybuilding class, and he brought an extremely impressive look as well. So that's the recap for the Ben Weider. I was really happy and pleased with how this show turned out next year, and I can't wait to continue to watch the growth of our NPC, NPC Worldwide, and IFBB Pro natural shows in 2025.